a gift from infants. When you meet a baby for the first time, no matter how many other infants you have seen, and no matter what your relationship with them might become, they'll greet you in a way that makes you catch your breath. Now, perhaps that will be by screaming until their features screw up and their faces darken with what, in an adult, would appear to be an incandescent rage. Perhaps it might be by spraying you with an assortment of bodily fluids, as occurred to a friend of mine who was foolish enough to wear white trousers when holding a newborn without a nappy. Perhaps it will be when they reach out to hold a finger of your hand, grasping it with their own tiny hand, connecting with you through the vulnerability of their touch. This moment of connection, which almost always evokes a strong emotional response in the adult who receives it, is in fact an automatic characteristic of most human infants, and it is called the palmar grasp reflex. It may have developed long ago in our evolutionary history as a method of ensuring that the offspring of our ancient ape ancestors could cling on to the hair of their mother monkeys as they travelled through the jungle. To a modern Homo sapiens who has experienced it, though, that tight little grip is easy to interpret as a sign of greeting and emotional connection. There's a symbolic resonance between the way a baby's hand curls tightly around an adult's finger and the emotional impact of this moment of meeting a new life and becoming connected with it. I think that might be because the youngest of babies have absolutely no desire to conceal the reality of who they are when starting to form relationships in these little yet powerful ways. Just starting to work out who they are not yet wise to the fact that human society places great emphasis on concealing our real identities and on the rawness of our relationships beneath layers of slyness and self-interest and the deception of ourselves and others. And so there seems to be an honesty and a truthfulness which challenges the dissatisfaction of a grown-up life that is all embodied in the simplicity of an infant's touch. A huge quantity of future stories and relationships also seems to telescope in on that quiet moment of greeting. And the reverse is also true. For now, when I'm holding the hands of my slightly older children, and they always seem to be strangely sticky now, in order to help them cross the road or to drag one of them off the other, I can feel an echo of the joy of our first meetings, of the simple blessing of our connection from its earliest moments, reverberating in the memory of the simplicity of an infant's touch. The preaching of John the Baptist and his imprisonment for angering Herod is the wider context of chapter 11 of Matthew's Gospel. The connection between John and Jesus reminds me of the way they are said to have first met in Luke's Gospel, and of the image of that moment in some iconography, such as the wall painting of the church of Timios Stavros in Cyprus. There's not, sadly, an early depiction of the palmar grasp reflex there, but instead there is a similar vulnerability of encounter being expressed. And there is a similar telescoping of time, trying to tell a great story in one moment because of the significance of this encounter. That wall painting depicts Mary and Elizabeth, and in a sort of medieval equivalent of a prenatal ultrasound, it reveals Jesus and John being carried in each of their wombs. They are brought close by the embrace of their mothers, and by the open affection of the relationship between Mary and Elizabeth. At that centre of the embrace between two women, John and Jesus are quite literally exposed in the most vulnerability of states, and both are seen in utero as tiny, weak figures. and yet Jesus raises his impossibly small and delicate fingers there in a sign of blessing to John. When I read that Jesus said important lessons were revealed by God to infants rather than to those who considered themselves wise, the significance of this image also echoes in its simplicity, for it shows that it was by an infancy that humans received a most unexpected gift of all from God. We were given a baby born most improbably in human flesh, and as the result of a most improbable pregnancy. We were given a man who, as a friend of gluttons and winos, received the most improbable people, who also received from him a gentle and healing blessing through his touch. The lessons taught by Jesus are often unexpected to us still, and a deep understanding of their meaning is rooted in the moment of meeting with him, and being received there in unalloyed and mutual vulnerability. That openness to receiving such a powerful connection through weakness is itself his teaching, that all things come as gifts. Gifts given by God, freely and abundantly in his creation of all things. Gifts because they come not from our efforts to succeed or to make a littler world around us and in our own image, but which can be realized in the way we become open to receiving all things from the Father and the Son, who is revealed to us and who receives us. The aim of Christian living is, as St. John Chrysostom said, to be freed from pride and follow after simplicity. Or in other words, to be grasped by the experience of first meeting with the divine gift. And as the world whirls around us, to wonder at it.